taking the time.
Thank you.
Your music has shaped, so many of our lives. And now you're back with a new album, an album that's revisiting your pop roots. You described this album as a creative process, like reassembling a shattered mirror. What do you mean with those words?
I think that so much of my early music was inspired by my initial musical inspirations, so many of the artists that made me fall in love with music to begin with. And there was a very particular way that I approached songwriting and production. And I did that for my first few albums. And then I started to reinvent and grow in different musical directions. I've always been a student of music, so I've always liked to change. But with Mayhem, I kind of wanted to go back to some of my earlier influences and also kind of claim for myself as a female musician. These are my references. This is my point of view. This is my style of pop music. And I thought that it could be cool to kind of put that into one record and sort of address as well, the mayhem of living with a sort of personal chaos where people were trying always to define me as an artist. And I never really liked that. I always felt like I didn't want to be defined.
You think that's why you tried different genres, different things in the past few years?
Yes, and also maybe why I was afraid to return to it, as I wanted it to be my choice. So this is my return to it.
Yeah, and so we could see some songs that we listened to the album early, and I was like, oh, some stuff seemed very new, and other stuff I was like, oh, that's so interesting. You see some echo with some music you did before. In this album, there's a song called "Perfect Celebrity," which I found was very interesting in terms of lyrics and what it's saying. What is a perfect celebrity?
I think what I'm addressing in Perfect Celebrity is this idea that I think in the world we're in today, there's kind of two of us. There's the real us, and then there's the clone that we're projecting to the world. And I think a huge part of entertainment actually has become not only the celebrating of the celebrity, but also I think criticizing celebrities is part of entertainment. So that's really what that song is about. And it's it's probably the most angry song I've ever written about fame. I'm nervous to put it out, but I think it's beautiful musically, and it was inspired by a lot of artists that really heavily influenced my career.
Because it's something where, and I think you've always talked about this, but celebrities are often seen as not human anymore. It's a celebrity, it can be an icon, it can be something, defining a genre or a culture or something, but you're not seen as human anymore. Is that something you sometimes feel?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think I've kind of settled into this part of my life in a way that I was really rejecting for a long time. But in that song, I say, I'm made of plastic like a human doll. You push and pull me, I don't hurt at all. I talk in circles because my brain, it aches. You say I love you, I disintegrate. It's sort of also making fun of this idea that maybe for myself, speaking of myself, that there's a longing for the public to cheer you on. But if you're inherently living a life of artifice and plasticity, then maybe hearing the words "I love you" makes you melt away.
And at the same time, of course, music is a dialogue, and you've talked a lot. I remember, you did a sort of manifesto about 15 years ago in one of your albums with explaining the way you see music also as a sort of dialogue with your community, and people who follow you and your music, they can sort of use this music as they're the kings of the music to shape it and make it what they want. So I guess you also see it as a dialogue with your community.
I definitely do. And I actually think that's why I wanted to not return exactly to this sound, but explore my previous vocabulary in a new way, because I think I developed a language to speak to my fans with. And then as the years went on, I deviated more and more from that. So this was kind of a way for me to hopefully communicate with my fans on a deeper level again. And that's been really special to watch. Like when Abracadabra came out, I remember just feeling like we were speaking in like a secret code to each other. And, that's like, that's magic,
Yeah. And also, does that mean like, because it's your 7th album, after like all those albums, do you still feel like pressure or like even maybe anxiety, I don't know, like before releasing a new project or?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure I do. I mean, I want people to enjoy it, but the most important thing is just for me to be able to make the contribution to the music world. Like that means so much to me. And all you can hope is that you'll make something that will become important to someone's life in a way that's genuine, that like maybe they needed it in a certain moment. Like a lot of what Mayhem is about too is that like the world being a chaotic place and having the ability to celebrate and dance during the mayhem. So if it can be something for someone, that is like my honor.
Yeah, it felt like this album felt like a sort of a going into a nightclub with you, like during a whole night. It was so interesting to.
Thank you.
And very fun to hear.
And I think that's like so much when I describe the album song by song, I always say it in one night. Yeah.
Interesting. And even for us,
a wild night.
Yeah. And yeah, you've talked about Abracadabra. There's this lyric with his dance or die. What do you put behind those words?
Well, Dance or Die starts out the beginning of the music video, and I think it's almost a little bit of a rhetorical category. There's really only one option when I say that is that you have to dance. Yeah. And on the record, I sing Death or Love Tonight, and this is the lady in red is like reading you the last few words of your life and saying to you, I'm going to put you to the test tonight. Like, do you have what it takes to keep going? And, this could be the most amazing night of your life and you fall in love, or this could be the end of your life. And I think like there's something about partying that people like walk life on the edge, and like we have too much to drink and we're dancing and partying. It's like we like push things a little too far sometimes. I think the record is also about that too. Like, it's a little bit about control and like how much we lose ourselves to the magic of the night. It's like a gothic dream. I call the album like a series of gothic dreams.
So interesting. And in this music, we've got so I could feel some influences, with like Geza Stein. So he produced like a few songs with you, co-produced some of them. What was it like working with this French artist?
He's amazing. He's really amazing. He's completely rare and unique. I learned a lot from him. I enjoyed so much like just like talking about music with him and just like and art as well. But, we made some music together that's some of my favorite music I've ever made. And I'm really excited for people to hear Aquila on the record because I think it's very different for both of us, actually.
Super interesting. Yeah, you could feel like sort of mix of your style and his style in this song. That was very, very good.
Thank you.
Looking back at the Fame in 2008, which marked, of course, the beginning of your global success at just 22 years old. How did you cope with such a rapid rise at the time and, beyond the awards and everything at the time? What was, you think, the hardest part of handling Fame at such a young age?
I think it was how isolated I got. And I think it was hard to also like not have that many friends. Like I was kind of on my own and mostly surrounded by a lot of people that wanted things from me. So like relationships became kind of transactional. And I don't think anybody can live their life in that way. I think, we need realness and authentic relationships in order to move forward. And it was not good for my artistry either. Like life is what inspires you to make poetry and make music and make art. So I think the more narrow my life became, the more that it kind of was orbiting like fame and my career.
Yeah, like there's no balance anymore. It's just like about the whole.
Yes, it kind of took me away from reality. And then I started to sort of live in a fantasy all the time, which was not good. But I do feel like recently I have like a lot more gravity in my life, a more full life. And I think some of that's also growing up, you know, and like valuing the whole me. And maybe that's part of that song Perfect Celebrity too, like not just valuing the clone of me, but valuing like the artist, the person who's the creator, not the creation.
Yeah. And also I feel like we see it in the interviews, even here, you know, like speaking with you, you know, when I see like, I mean, I feel it, but I also see like comments and like lots of people saying this. It's like, of course you're an artist and like you do like some, you know, very like huge, you know, walls stuff like people wouldn't dare to do before. And like you do new stuff. And at the same time, you're like, you still feel human because you feel like there's a connection with you. That's not always the case, I feel like, with all artists, all people. And so I guess even for you, there's this balance of like, I have to, stay human and not just be the celebrity and like what people are waiting for in a way.
Yeah, I mean, and some of that's my responsibility, you know, like, or most of that is, and it just like took me a long time to realize that I could control more like who I was around and how I was living my life. And like even just getting to know you today is like really nice, you know, and we get to have a real conversation and instead of it feeling like a performance. I think I've found that like moments like these when you're talking with someone about the artist community, that like gives so much more to the art than the promotion of it all. But that's not to say I don't love promoting my music, but I've definitely like received criticism for not promoting my stuff enough. But it really is true that like promotion can sometimes also take you away from like the work. Yeah, so it's like a balance.
And things have changed since, you know, 2008 and this album. Of course, today, TikTok, Instagram, any social media, like they all play a huge role in the way music is listened to, in the way it's sort of spread also. Do you feel like this has changed in any way the way you view your work and music?
I don't think so for me. I really like using all these platforms. Like TikTok for me sort of reminds me of MTV in a way. It's different because it's not like only centered around music the way that MTV was, but like, you know, audio being such a huge part of it. And then also the communities of people that are built that are bonding over like different art forms. That feels really interesting to me. So I've really enjoyed being a part of it to like learn about other people, learn about their lives. Like I also love seeing people have a stage for themselves. Yeah. Like when I was coming up, like I had to like make my own stage in a different way. And it's nice to see people have that like outlet. So I don't think it really changes the way I make music. If anything, it just like gives me another way of expressing it.
Yeah. And maybe it gives another way for people listening also to your music to like, you know, dance on it or like analyze what your songs are about. And like it's a whole space of, I guess, discussion for them too.
For sure. And it's so cool too. I mean, I've always been watching my fans create after I give them my work. So like if it's a music video or if I put out a song or share a bit of artwork that I've made, like there's been this constant conversation. And I actually find online that it can be a really beautiful way to like interact with your fans, which is why I like run my own
social media.
Yeah. Because then it's real, you know?
Yeah. And also creating and sharing our work, especially with social media today, it also means like trusting ourselves and like ignoring, you know, that little voice that might say, you know, oh, maybe people won't understand what you say, or maybe people, you know, will judge you for this or for that. Like you can have also, you know, this inner voice that comes back. How do you manage to silence that voice? And do you think that that's something that you can learn through time?
You know, I think that I feel like it's unrealistic to try to like be perfect. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes and I'm sure there's things that I do that people won't like or that people want to be critical of, and that's kind of part of it. And I feel like I've been trying to not put so much pressure on myself and just focus on what I think is important, which is the quality of the work, like the hours in the studio, just like putting in the time and really, really being detailed about every single instrument, every single sound, every lyric, every melody, the story behind the song, the order of the record, all of the art behind it, putting together the right team of people. It's like, to me, that's the work that matters, I think, the most, more than kind of trying to control how people think about you.
Yeah, how they see this or that music, this or that. Yeah.
Yeah, like ultimately, it's just like I'm offering something, and like they might not like it. That has to be okay.
Yeah, you're fine as long as what you did was,
as long as I feel good about it.
And you're like, that's something I want to share anyway, and I'm sure it'll speak to some people. I want to go back to like 2019 when you won an Oscar, of course, for Shallow in A Star Is Born. In your speech, you said, I'll read it out. It's not about winning. It's about not giving up. If you have a dream, fight for it. There's discipline for passion. And it's not how many times you get rejected or you fall down or you're beaten up. It's about how many times you stand up, are brave, and keep going. Looking back, like all those years, was there ever a moment in your career where you were like, okay, I'm giving up. That's too much?
I think there was, for a little while, a time when I just was so depressed, and I just didn't have a community anymore, and was feeling so isolated that it didn't feel worth it anymore. But I did ultimately really fight through that. And I have to say it was a mixture of, meeting Michael, my fiance, and feeling like I had this like partner in my life that helped me move forward, but also going back on tour with the Chromatica Ball and having this like amazing experience with the fans where I was like pain-free and they were cheering me on. It kind of like rejuvenated me. And I feel really lucky, not everybody that is in this industry can kind of keep going. Because it does like take a toll on your mental health. And so I'm just like really grateful to be here now.
What message would you like to share with young people who might feel marginalized?
I would just say that I love you, and right now is an important time for community to come together, to have each other's backs and to support each other's lives, and that it's also not just about what we say, when the cameras are on. It's about how we live our lives. And that's what I would say.
So the last thing is just basically in 1 minute, I'll ask you some questions. And the idea for you is they're like very easy questions. The idea for you is to answer yes, no, or just pass if you want to pass the question. Okay?
Yes.
It's like just a 60 seconds. Are you ready? Do you still get stage fright before performing?
Yes.
If you had to choose between acting and singing, would you pick singing? You can pass.
Next.
Next. Do you speak French?
Badly.
A bit. Un petit peu.
Un petit peu.
Oh, yeah, that was a good friend. Do you add your own songs to your personal playlists?
Yes.
Have you ever regretted any of your songs?
Yes.
If Poker Face came out today, would it still be a huge hit?
I don't know.
That'd be interesting too.
Maybe. I don't know.
Have you ever forgotten your lyrics during a concert?
Not very often.
Okay. Do you sometimes wish you weren't famous?
I'm not answering yes or no.
That's fine. That's fine.
No.
Just go.
I'm just doing whatever I want. Okay.
Is Elton John one of your biggest mentors?
Yes.
Was singing at the Olympics a huge honor for you?
Yes.
Is Paris the most beautiful city in the world?
It's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. There's many. I love lots of cities, but it is without a doubt one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
Are you afraid of failure?
Of failing?
Yeah.
I think so.
Maybe one too less. Do you keep iconic outfits from your past tours?
Yes.
Okay. And maybe last question. Do you always tell the truth during interviews?
I try.
You try to. That's the best. Thank you so